What you're looking at right here is a brand new smartwatch that is very likely to make my list in one of the top best everyday smartwatches you can buy in 2020 for a couple reasons, but two big ones in particular. And I'll talk about those in a second. But if you guys have seen any of my other top 10, top 5 videos about smartwatches, you know that for everyday watches, just like if you're trying to work out, you're trying to just have notifications, the basic all-around everyday utility watch, there's 3 that usually come to mind. So the first one, obviously Apple Watch is always on there. The newest Galaxy Watch, like the Galaxy Watch 3 is a good pick as well. And then I usually have a WearOS watch, which for the past year or year and a half has been the Fossil Gen 5. So WearOS watches really haven't changed in almost 2 years now, until this watch right here. This is the TicWatch Pro 3, and it's significant, like I said, for 2 big reasons. All right, so let's just get into the first reason why this watch is a big deal, and that is because it has the newest Qualcomm chip on there, the 4100, and just without getting too technical here, essentially that means the battery life on this is going to be significantly better than we see on the Apple watches, on the Samsung watches, on almost every Google Wear OS watch out there. Instead of having 1 to 1.5 days, this watch is having somewhere between 3.5 to 4 days from my experience. So we know that battery life has been a big problem with a lot of smartwatches out there. 1.5 days is just really hard to get by once you have sleep tracking and it takes an hour to charge it or an hour and a half to charge it. Like, when do you actually get time to do that every single day? It's become a really big complaint, which is why this watch I think is going to satisfy a lot of people. Now, before I get into the second highlight of this watch, I want to kind of get into a physical tour here to show you guys what we're dealing with. And you can see on the front, the aesthetic of this watch is strikingly similar to the Galaxy Watch 3, which is really a good thing. I like the way this watch looks. I think it wouldn't look too weird if you're working out. Definitely doesn't look bad if you're dressing up professionally, or if you just want it as an everyday watch. I think it looks really nice. It's not really that large. It fits on your wrist. It's pretty slim. On the right side, we have a microphone in the middle. We have 2 buttons over there. You can customize these buttons to do, open different apps, to go into different modes on the watch, stuff like that. You can have your home button, and I'll show you all of that later on in the video. But on the left side of the watch, we have our speaker, which I will test out to see how loud that is. But that does mean that you can use Google Assistant on here. You can also field phone calls. You can do a lot of stuff with this watch. If we flip it over, you'll see on the back we have a new charger. Unlike the old TicWatch Pro, which had a massive charger that went on the back, this one's just a really nice little wire you kind of just snap on there by magnet, and it charges up reasonably quickly. Then in the middle of the watch, it's going to be hard to see on camera here, but just take my word for it, guys. There's 12 diodes in there that will be measuring your heart rate and your blood oxygen. So that's significantly more diodes than the previous TicWatch. And this should actually be giving you a lot of great insights for your heart rate. And like I said, your blood oxygen, your sleep analytics, your overall health should be monitored very well using these diodes. And I'll test that out later on in the video as well. And then really the last thing to talk about, well, almost the last thing to talk about physically with this watch is the straps. This comes with these kind of interesting little like leather silicone straps. They're kind of an interesting design. I'm not sure how I feel about them. Like, from a distance, they do look like leather straps, but up close they look like either really cheap leather or really premium silicone. Like, it's kind of, I don't know, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of these straps. Like I said, they're really easy to replace with some actual leather ones or some plain silicone ones, whatever you're looking to do. And now the last feature I wanted to talk about with the physical design of this watch is actually the second big highlight of this watch, and that is the fact that it has 2 screens on a slim watch design, which is really unique. It's very different, and you might be thinking like, all right, Mike, what the heck does that mean, 2 screens? I only see 1. And the reason is they're actually stacked vertically. So you have your standard screen on the bottom, full color, you can see everything you want to. And then on the top, you have your LCD display that is going to show you kind of like an older calculator. It's going to show you like black and white there. And it shows you the time. It shows you how many steps you took in the day. It shows you the date. And so that's normally what it does for your always on display when you're not looking at your watch. But it does more than just that. You can actually go into a power saving mode where this is the only thing, and you can last, more than a month using just this display here. Or when you're doing a workout, something else really cool is it shows you like the time for your workout, your heart rate, and stuff like that. So if you pick up your watch, you don't have to hit a button or keep flipping your watch to see it, and you don't have to leave it on all the time. Instead, having this on all the time saves a ton of power and shows you what you need to see. This watch also has some cool features like wrist gestures, so if I just flip my wrist up like this, you'll see it brings up my notifications and scrolls through that. I think that's a really cool thing, just to make the watch a little bit more user-friendly. You also have like the live weather watch face right here, among a lot of other features in this watch. But getting into the health and the software, they actually added a lot of their own apps to this to really customize Wear OS and add some kind of Apple Watch features that were normally missing. So for example, you have something like the TicHearing is what they call it, which is noise detection. It lets you know when it's too loud in a room and could be damaging to your ears. You have TicOxygen, which is going to be your 24-hour SpO2 detection, your blood oxygen levels. TicZen is what they call it, the other one that is going to be like stress and mental health, to help you realize, when you're stressed out, when you need to relax, when you need to calm down, stuff like that. And then you also have TicPulse, you have TicSleep, and so sleep is going to be your sleep tracking, and I'll talk about the accuracy of that in a second. And then the last big thing they have is the speech to text on here for your recorder. Kind of a significant feature because if you're trying to take notes with your watch, if you just had an idea and you want to write it down really quickly, it's really hard to do by swiping around. And sometimes it is nice to have text so it's more searchable later on. So I think that's a really cool feature to have on here. But with that being said, guys, let's get into some of the testing of this watch to see how accurate and how capable it actually is.
All right, so the first test I want to do is actually a speaker test with the watch. So right now, this is a phone call. Comment down below. Let me know how clear this sounds to you, if you can hear what I'm saying, and overall how good you think the speaker quality is. Now this is at full volume. We'll test it out with Google Assistant next.
How long does it take to drive to Cancun?
By car.
So you can see Google Assistant's actually really fast. Everything it's doing seems to be a pretty great speed. What is the square root of pi?
The square root of pi is approximately 1.7.
So you can obviously get a lot of different apps on this watch, but when you're working out, what I did for testing was actually just use the native apps on here, so TicExercise, and then of course all the analytics go to TicHealth. But you have a lot of different exercises to choose from, and so I did a cycling workout and a run with this. You can see over here on the app, the heart rate data, just testing out the accuracy of that. It was actually very congruent in the beginning when I was doing a standard run, almost exactly correct, plus or minus maybe 1 or 2 beats per minute, and it did an excellent job capturing my intervals until right around here. I think this interval, it struggled a little bit, but again, the next one, it did a great job. So overall, the heart rate accuracy of this, I would say, is very, very good. I would assume maybe at this point right here, the watch might have become a little bit loose on my wrist. So as long as you have a good fit, I have really good confidence that this is going to be accurate enough for your everyday runner or biker or somebody just looking to keep tabs on their exercises. Now, going down, you have a lot of other insights with your workouts. So it shows you like your average pace, your step frequency, your step length. It shows you a lot of different stuff about that. And then if we actually go down to GPS, you can see right here, I actually went up and visited a friend and ran on a local trail. And so it was a rail trail. That's why it's kind of this weird shape right here. And the weird thing about this app right now, at least, is that you cannot zoom in on this. You can't open the app. But I will say that the overall length of it was congruent with what the trail actually said. So the GPS definitely is pretty accurate. It's not the best out there. You can see a little tiny bit of drunk wandering right here. But for the most part, I think it did a great job of capturing my speed and exactly where I ran. So you can go back and see how far you ran, how fast you ran, and where you were running. So I think overall the exercise analytics on this were as accurate as I really could ask for an everyday smartwatch like this. So like I said, I've been wearing this watch for about 3 weeks now, and admittedly, I didn't wear it to bed every single night. You can see right here which nights I actually slept with it on. Sometimes it's just not the most comfortable for me to sleep with a watch on. But, the nights that I was wearing it, the sleep detection, so this actually was an excellent night of sleep. Gives me 95% sleep efficiency, so it gives you a nice, easy to digest number there. But this is not always perfect. It just grades your sleep based on how good the sleep was, not necessarily based on how long it was. So you can see this night I slept for 3 hours and it gave me 95%. Sure, it was a good 3 hours, but does that really deserve 95%? It wasn't like a good full night of sleep. I mean, it's a little bit ambiguous, and it's really up to interpretation for how accurate you really want to do this. Sleep accuracy is always a tough thing for smartwatches to do.
All right, so a microphone test. So if you're doing something and you don't want to take your phone out of your pocket and you just answer the phone on your watch, it would sound something like this. So comment down below. Let me know how good you think this sounds. Is it clear enough? And you understand what I'm saying? And, what is the overall microphone quality of this watch?
So guys, overall, I really am impressed with this watch. I like the battery life. I like the dual displays. I like the apps they added on here to make it more functional because Google really hasn't paid that much attention to WearOS. So adding things on here like the sleep tracking and the hearing detection, stuff like that, I think is really nice to have. But of course, there are a few drawbacks you want to be aware of. From using this watch for the past 2 weeks, the drawbacks I came across, the first one is, it would be really nice to have a rotating crown or a rotating bezel, just because it is a small screen and using it, navigating it, I think it's something that I'm really missing on this watch. And really the second big drawback I found was that it does not have Qi wireless charging. So yes, it has a pretty nice little convenient charger, But if I'm out and about, if I'm on the go, I don't want to have to bring that charger with me if I'm on a road trip, for example. I want to be able to just plop this in the back of a wireless charger, or maybe on the back of my phone, and charge it up whenever I need to. So that's just a drawback. I've been holding that against a lot of other watches that don't have that feature. But regardless, overall, I think this watch is very impressive. I would highly recommend it to anybody looking to get a WearOS watch. It's the reason I've been telling people in the comments lately that you probably want to wait a few months to buy a watch when they were asking back in July, because I think for a lot of people, this might be the watch you're looking for. But comment down below, let me know what you think of the TicWatch Pro 3. Will you be buying it? Will you not be buying it? What do you wish it had? And what are your thoughts overall on this watch? Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.